Angela Bonfanti, and I am honored to serve as the President and CEO of the CNIB. It is such a privilege to welcome you here to our beautiful camp on Lake Joseph on this very special occasion. CNIB Lake Joe is on the land which is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Ojibwa, Potawatomi, and the Ottawa people. The Anishinaabeg still regard these lands as the hunting grounds, medicine areas, and gathering places related to them as through oral history passed down for generations. Other Indigenous nations have come to occupy this land, such as the Haudenosaunee and the Métis Nation. We are grateful for the opportunity to meet here. We thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. For more than 60 years, CNIB Lake Joe has been a place where children, youth, adults, and families who are blind, deafblind, or have low vision leave the barriers behind them. It is a place where campers discover independence, friendship, partnership, and belonging. Many will tell you that Lake Joe changes lives. It's not just for the summer, but it really is for a lifetime. That's why it's so meaningful to make today's announcement here, where community, sport, and possibility already come alive every single day. It's wonderful to see so many partners and leaders and friends with us today. We are honored to be joined by the Honourable Neil Lumsden, Ontario's Minister of Sport, and his wonderful team. We are also delighted to welcome the Honourable Graydon Smith, MPP for Parry Sound, Muskoka, and a very good friend to CNIB in this community. We are also joined as well by Scott Aitchison, MPP for Parry Sound, Muskoka, Mayor Ann McDermott, Mayor of Seguin Township, Mayor Dale Robinson as well. Thank you so much for being here. We're also pleased to welcome Sharon Cadeau, Vice Chair of the Métis Nation of Ontario, along with Amanda Labette-Daw, Project Manager from Burk's Falls. I'd also like to extend a welcome to CNIB's Vice Chair of CNIB's Lake Joe Advisory Board, Jane Casey, and a welcome to Tim Hogarth, a longtime friend of CNIB's, a leadership volunteer, and an extraordinary donor whose generosity is helping to transform Lake Joe. I want to thank our incredible team, Eugene Chong, General Manager, and Monique Pilkington, Executive Director of CNIB Lake Joe, and the Learning Academy for hosting us today on the shores of beautiful Lake Joseph. Eugene and Monique represent the heart of this camp and are the dedicated team of staff and volunteers that make CNIB Lake Joe such a special place. We say it's better than Disneyland. This truly is the most magical place on earth. Thank you for being here to share in this excitement. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Graydon Smith, MPP for Parry Sound, Muskoka. Graydon is no stranger to the lake. We've had the privilege of welcoming him to camp many times. And before being elected to Queen's Park, he served as Mayor of Bracebridge and President of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, where he guided communities through things like floods, through pandemics, and beyond. And hopefully there was some good stuff in there too. At some point. His dedication to people and to his region has always shown through, and we certainly feel it here at Lake Joe. Please join me in welcoming the Honourable Graydon Smith.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you. There were many good days in between the tough times. There were many, many good times, and this is another one today. So good morning, everyone. And thanks so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be back here at CNIB Lake Joe. Multiple stops here during my time as MPP with many good news announcements, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm very, very pleased to have my good friend, the Minister of Sport, the Honourable Neil Lumsden, join today as well as representatives from the Métis Nation, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and as mentioned, Ann McDermott, the Mayor of Seguin, Dale Robinson, the Mayor of McDougall, and other esteemed guests. So great to have you all here on such an important day. So let's get to the good stuff. I have the pleasure of announcing a couple of different projects happening here in the riding that are receiving provincial funding through the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund. But first, I want to talk about fashion. I know how to drag this out and make it exciting. Minister, you look great today.
Thank you.
But I'm not sure you should be wearing a jacket in Muskoka, because it is kind of a vacation place. So the next time you come, don't show me up. Just keep it to the golf shirt. You could do that. You could do it. See, relax. Look at relax. There we go. Do you feel naked without the jacket?
No.
Yeah, let's stop at the jacket. We're not going to go any further than that. I tease every minister that comes up because every one of them feels obligated to wear a jacket. It's like, it's Muskoka. Let's just, and it's Parry Sound. Let's just chill out and have fun. We'll put the jacket on another time. We'll be at Queen's Park suited up with jackets and ties. But again, to the good stuff. Sorry to drag it out for everyone. So the first announcement I'm happy to announce is $231,750 has been approved to the Métis Nation of Ontario for their children's and youth camp in Berks Falls. Congratulations to them. A very exciting project. It's going to transform their facility into a hub for child and youth community events, sports, and cultural programming, all promoting Métis heritage and driving economic growth. So very, very excited to have that camp here in the riding and to see that expansion take place with the support of the Ministry of Sport. Once we get to the finished product on that, can't wait to see it. The second announcement I'm here to make has been a work in progress for a few years now, and I've had a chance to talk with the team here at CNIB Lake Joe about that and Monique about that. In 2022, I came here to celebrate an Ontario Trillium grant, and that's when I first heard about the plans to build Canada's first goalball court right here. And since then, I've done my best to advocate for this project and provided my support to a couple of grants that CNIB applied for to bring this project to life. I'm here today to thank Minister Lumsden and the Ministry of Sport for their generous support of this project and announce that through the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund, CNIB Lake Joe will receive $3 million to build Canada's first purpose-built goalball court. If you want to know what pure joy sounds like, I wish I had the recording of the call when I was able to call Monique and tell her that this was going to happen. Because, as I said, this has been a goal for a long, long time. A lot of work put into this, and so many other projects here, frankly, but a lot of work specifically put into this project. And when I was able to call her, and I'll always remember exactly where I was. I was in a conference room in Ottawa. We'd been at the AMO conference. I hadn't seen the sun for several days, just doing meetings after meetings, but was able to take a moment and call and say, I've got some good news. And I remember your exact quote, should I sit down? Yep, you should sit down. And when I was able to tell Monique, her breath was just taken away, and we just shared the next 10 minutes being happy. And really, that's what it's all about. That's the power of government to transform and change and make great things happen. And CNIB Lake Joe is going to have another great thing happen. So congratulations to everybody. And I should add, the facility will also include a fitness center and a teaching kitchen. So a really amazing project. For those of you that don't know about goalball, it's a sport specifically designed for individuals who are blind or have low vision. And over the years, many of the counselors here at CNIB Lake Joe have played goalball on a national level. And once this court gets built, that next generation of goalball Paralympians, they're going to be training right here in Parry Sound, Muskoka. So again, thanks again. Join me in thanking the Minister of Sport, Minister Lumsden. You look great in that golf shirt, by the way. Once again, for supporting both of these great projects. And I'd now like to invite you to the podium, Minister, and say a few words. Thank you so much.
It's way easier to wear than it is to hold. And let's be honest, looks pretty good, right? It's a real pleasure to be here today. And one of the opportunities, and I'm going to go back in time a little bit, when we as a ministry, some of which are here today, Aaron and Wes, who are fantastic at what they do. When we got together again months and months ago, we talked about how do we make a difference? How do we go about changing sport and recreation in Ontario where it is really needed when you examine the rest of the world? And why wouldn't we try to do something that makes a difference? Because in the end of the day, that's our job. Make things better, and making a difference does that, in sport especially. You know, there's no question that, you know, you protect local jobs and building infrastructure and all the things that we want to build communities and impact communities. But when you drill right down to it, it's the programming and the sport and the recreation piece that lands and stays and sticks. And what sticks is what goes on and what happens as a result of sport and recreation. And that's from cradle to grave. That's from everyone who wants to participate in sport. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter if you're partially blind, if you're fully blind, if you've got other issues that you deal with, but you want to be part of sport, we want that to happen. And because you deserve that right, because from sport comes so many things, both individually and working with groups of people with respect to a team. There are fewer friends that I have now, or very few friends that I have now that weren't connected to me through sport, one way or the other. And the bond that we have and the experiences that we had together. And I'm not talking about professional sport or college. I'm talking about playing racquetball years ago. I'm talking about playing soccer, pickup hockey. Everyone should have that chance. And that's why we were lucky enough to have a premier that understood what we wanted and what we needed in this province. And that was build infrastructure around sport and recreation. And that's been our goal. So when I have an opportunity to come out and be part of announcements, be part of the great work that Graydon does and others in our province that are MPPs that understand the importance of how we think and what we do and get it. There's nothing more that, from my perspective, that gives us confidence and fills our cup when we are dealing with communities like this, associations and groups that get and understand, and those that are around like Graydon who also get and understand. And it isn't just part of my job. It is part of who he is. It's part of who we are. And that's what gets me excited and our staff when we get a chance to sit in front of people that get it. Because it's almost sport-like when you're in a room like this today, when I look at everyone's eyes and say, yeah, we get it. We understand sport and recreation. We get it here. And you're going to make it better as a result of this, like way better. And for that, I get a chance to sit back and say, well, we're making a difference, and we're going to continue making a difference over and over again, as much as we can. And again, our premier gets it totally. And it's nice to have someone, an ally, along with many other MPPs that want to see our communities grow and get stronger. And we can do that through sport and recreation. So the Sport and Recreation Fund, Sport and Recreation Fund, is something that has landed and has resonated and will continue to do so. And we're, as I said earlier, we're really proud of that. And now I'm proud to be able to introduce Sharon Cadeau, the Vice Chair of the Métis Nation. Sharon, the podium is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Merci to MPP Graydon Smith, Minister Neil Lumsden, and our hosts at the CNIB Lake St. Joseph, and all the partners that made it possible here today. We're here to celebrate an investment and bring people together. For the Métis Nation of Ontario, it means creating a space where Métis children, families, and elders can gather, learn, and reconnect on our land and water without barriers. Thanks to the support of the Ontario Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund, we're moving forward with the development of an accessible waterfront at our ELCC Cultural Camp and Language Camp at Burkes Falls. The site will feature a new pathway, an accessible dock, a canoe launch, and a safe access to the beach, and construction will begin this month. The camp opens in 2026, and it's going to be a place where people of all ages and abilities can be a part of something together. For Métis people, Being on the land and water is how we learn, is how we pass teachings on to our children, our families, and our elders. We build spaces that are truly welcoming, where a young person using a mobility aid can reach the water with his friends, and an elder can return to the shoreline with confidence. We're doing more than construction. We're honoring who we are. This is one small example of how our Métis government is working to make a real change in the lives of our citizens. We're investing in connection. Merci to the province for helping us take this step. Thank you so much.
Very quickly before I turn the mic, and I tried to do this and I just forgot. Congratulations to those that were involved in the application process. This is, sorry to go back to the sport again, this is somewhat of a competition. Those that did such a fantastic job in the application process and did what needed to be done, we had, to give you an example, and I don't like to scoff at $200 million because that's a lot of dough, but we had over 1.1 billion in requests. So congratulations to those that were part of putting the application in the process, because you made the difference, you made the cut, if you will, and making a cut in sport is always a good thing. So thanks again.
All right, thank you, Sharon, for your thoughtful remarks and for the work you and the Métis Nation of Ontario are doing to strengthen communities across this province. I think it's an opportunity to partner, especially with the number of people with vision loss that coincide in both of our communities. It's a privilege to stand alongside you today. I am wearing a jacket, but only because when I am here multiple times a year, I'm always in sweatshirts with Camp Lake Joe on it. So I basically showed up to show my team that I can clean up when they need me to. And thank you for asking me to remove my jacket. It is an incredible honor to be here today to celebrate such an important milestone, not only for our camp, but for accessible sport and recreation across Ontario. And it is only possible because of the Government of Ontario's leadership and commitment to inclusion. Minister Lumsden, on behalf of CNIB, our participants, our families, thank you for championing this investment and for believing in what we can achieve together. It was quite the process, and there was a moment where we thought we weren't going to get it. So when we got the call, the minute got the call, it was such a joy because it was a tremendous amount of work, and it was well worth it. I also want to recognize the extraordinary generosity of Tim Hogarth and his family, who actually put up the cash that we needed to have the scaled back version, and now we're able to have the full version with the partnership with the Government of Ontario. The commitment to families like Tim is something that can create change that will impact generations to come. Together with your support and the government's investment, we are turning what was a vision for how many years finally into a reality. At the heart of this project will be Canada's, first purpose-built goalball. For the first time, Canada will have a dedicated home for this incredible sport, and it's happening here at Lake Joe. If you've never seen goalball before, it's fast-paced, it's fierce, and it's inspiring. Jane Ondrek on our team was telling us a little bit about that earlier. Athletes track the ball by sound, diving in with determination to defend their nets. They're on the ground, they're in the air, they're laying down, at whatever cost to score or to block. It's a Paralympic sport that demands strength, focus, and teamwork, and now it will finally have a home right here in Toronto. But it's not just for our athletes, it's for our families to come and to learn about the possibility of sport. I think that's what you were talking about, Minister. All the great things that come from a shared passion of sport. This isn't about professional sports necessarily. It is about introducing to families that have recently received a vision loss diagnosis that is inevitably going to impact their lives to the power and the purpose behind sport. That then allows parents and families to have a very different concept around what their child's life and what their life is going to be like, regardless of their level of vision. So this is where children take their first shot. This is where families experience inclusive recreation together. And this is where Canadian athletes prepare to make our country proud on the world stage. We are so fortunate to have one of those athletes here with us today. I want to recognize Jane Ondrek, as I mentioned earlier. Jane is not only a talented goalball player, but also a past Lake Joe staff member and is now a proud member of our CNIB Guide Dogs team. Jade, you embody the journey of this camp and making things possible, growing your skills, building confidence, and carrying those lessons into every part of your life. And there are lots of Jades out there. She's certainly paving the way. That is the magic of this place. At Lake Joe, I can't turns into I can, and I will. Again and again, campers discover what they thought was impossible is suddenly just within their reach. It might be trying a sport for the first time, or simply feeling like they belong in a community that sees them for who they are, or understands what their lived experience is like. Those moments of I can are life-changing. They spark confidence, independence, and courage that ripple outward into school, into work, into family, into community, into government. Hogarth Hall will mean even more of these moments with its fitness center, teaching kitchen, and fully accessible design. It will ensure that children, youth, and adults and their families can come together and say, I can, not just for the summer, but hopefully all year long. Because sport and recreation are not just about the game, they're about resilience, they're about leadership, they're about community, and they're about giving people the chance to discover just how far they can go. Just watch me. I've heard Jay say that a number of times. This is why today matters. What we're building together is not just a facility. Folks, it's a legacy. And I'm proud to be part of that legacy, a legacy of inclusion, a legacy of opportunity that will hopefully inspire generations to come. So, on behalf of CNIB, our staff, our mighty volunteers, our campers and our families, many of whom are here with us today, I want to once again thank the Government of Ontario, the Ministry of Sport, Minister Lumsden, our MPs and Tim Hogarth for making this, our MPPs and Tim Hogarth for making this vision possible. This project would simply not happen without your leadership and support. So together we're creating a strong, more inclusive Ontario and one where hopefully every person who is deaf, blind, or have low vision has the chance to turn I can't into I can. Thank you so much.